From this to this, campaigning for elections in India has gone through a tectonic shift. What's interesting this time around is that while 2014 was being seen as an election on Facebook, 2019 was largely dominated by WhatsApp forwards, 2024 is the year that YouTube has arrived. In fact, the presence of politicians on the platform and parties has increased exponentially. Sample this. BJP has got around 5.92 million followers. Congress has got 4.84 million followers. If we look at some prominent political personalities, Narendra Modi has 23.3 million followers on YouTube. Rahul Gandhi has around 5.45 million followers. Yogi Adityanath, if you look at some of the popular chief ministers as well, Yogi Adityanath has around 255,000 followers. Himanta Biswa Sarma has 225,000 followers. Revanth Reddy has 205,000 followers. Naveen Patnaik has around 104,000 followers. So this is just a sample study to describe the presence which has been increasing of politicians on YouTube. So from showcasing interviews to election rallies and speeches to even short podcasts, politicians are leaving no stone unturned to reaching out to their target audience and the voters directly. But while this is a great way to get their message across directly, we are also looking at some of the pitfalls that there could be in this process. For example, how does YouTube curb hate speech ahead of elections, and what is their policy in terms of curbing manipulated content? So Sumit Gupta from Data Beings is joining us now to discuss further on this issue and to help us understand this phenomenon. So Sumit, first of all, would you agree that this is a year in which we are looking at YouTube being the main medium that politicians are using to campaign?
Yeah, thanks for having me here. Yeah, I agree. YouTube has come up as a primary medium for political leaders and parties in this election. As the talk is like 2014 election was out on Facebook, 2019 on WhatsApp, and this time the turn is of YouTube. And that is very valid as well because of the smartphone penetration, the low data, and then the people's inclination towards short video content. And YouTube, at the right time when the TikTok was banned, they launched Shorts. And their primary market for Shorts was only India. And political parties and leaders have utilized that very well. Even if we'll take an example of Rahul Gandhi didn't give any interviews to any mainstream media channel during Bharat Jodo Yatra. He just focused on influencers and mostly YouTubers. So yeah, that is how this is happening right now.
So, when I was reading up, I also saw that this is not just about 2024, but even the state elections of 2023, a lot of politicians were already using that as one of the main campaign tools. So when do you think this trend picked up?
So I'll give you two timeline points there. So one was obviously Bharat Jodo Yatra. So before Bharat Jodo Yatra, like Rahul's YouTube views on a weekly basis were less than 1 lakh. And since the Bharat Jodo Yatra started, it went up to 4 to 5 million on a weekly basis. And right now it is about 70 to 80 million on a weekly basis. And seeing that, I think BJP got into the game. And last year in May or June, we saw Narendra Modi organizing different events to facilitate YouTubers and influencers, and that showed into the viewership as well.
It's very interesting because Narendra Modi has a higher follower base compared to Rahul Gandhi on YouTube. But you're saying in this case, it was BJP which followed Congress's lead.
Yes. For YouTube, that's true. Even I'll give an example of last year assembly election only. So we were analyzing the videos being posted by different, by the content creator on the both sides, left and right, and the reaction in the terms of the viewership they were getting. So on most of the days, 80% coverage was taken by the pro-Congress content creators. And I think even right now, that is the same situation. Obviously, the actual results in the terms of the seats won is different. But in YouTube, at least at this point of time, the Congress is way ahead of BJP.
Okay, that's very interesting. But, let's look at this as a voter, as somebody who's the consumer of these videos. Do you think this is a good way of knowing a leader, or is it, very dressed up, very, manipulated way of how the politicians actually present themselves on these platforms? So as a voter, how do I look at these videos? Because a lot of people, of course, are now consuming this, obviously, and taking this as their main source of news, for that matter. So what are some of the checks and balances as a voter I should keep in mind?
Okay, to answer your question first, I mean, this is a good way for political party to spread their message. Because right now the cost of making a YouTube video is very less, or any video for that matter is very less. And if you will remember, the guarantees that Congress is doing this time, they also launched the minimum income scheme last time as well. But they didn't use social media that well at that point of time. This time they are doing it well, and they are doing ads, and most of the people are aware of it. So it makes a lot of sense for the political parties to go for it. And as a voter, the problem is that as a voter, we don't know what is correct and what is incorrect. There's a lot of misinformation, fake news is happening, and it's very difficult to get to the right information. And as a voter, our duty has to be not to rely on one source or two sources. We have to do fact check and make an informed decision.
Okay.
So that is how it will be for a voter.
Right. So manipulated content is, of course, one concern that somebody might have. The other thing, of course, is in terms of policies. YouTube, of course, has mentioned the policies that they follow in terms of content around elections or centered around elections. But in terms of a real concern about inciting speeches or hate speech, do you feel that YouTube is doing enough in terms of flagging certain content or removing certain content basis, in case the speech is seen as provoking violence?
So right now the YouTube is in a reactive mode. So that it acts on the basis of the complaints by the viewers. But I think in near future it is going to be proactive with the advancement in the AI multimodal capabilities, which we have seen this week itself happening in AI. So that will be like proactive content moderation that will happen to stop this kind of situation. But that will solve only the problem of hate speech or inciting violence, but not the misinformation or taking the video out of the context. Like, for example, this potato factory remark by Congress is a classical example. Every channel might have debunked it, but still people believe it. So the political parties has to be very quick on debunking those kind of things.
Right. So fact checks and fact check videos also have to be like, the political parties will also have to dip into that, especially.
And they have to be very, very quick on those as well.
Right. Right. Also, I wanted to ask you, I mean, this is a bit of a, maybe you would see this as a trick question, but do you think that YouTube has replaced Twitter when it comes to politicians actually directly connecting with people?
I don't think they are different audience. YouTube is mostly upper class English speaking audience. There's not much other languages happening on Twitter. So if you compare Twitter versus YouTube, Twitter is about 25 million and YouTube is about 500 million. So Twitter is only for upper class English medium people, and YouTube is across different economic classes, different social classes, different languages. Everybody is there, and you will see like on YouTube the parties are not targeting upper class English speaking audience there. They will target those on Twitter only. So they are going to be complemented.
Okay, so the messaging is different for both platforms, and the basis the target audience.
Obviously,
right. So my last question to you, Sumit, how do you see this trend carrying forward? Like, we've seen 2014 being Facebook, 2019 primarily WhatsApp. WhatsApp is still around, but 2024 largely being YouTube. What about the next elections, next wave of elections? What do you see the new trend being, if we can gaze into the crystal ball?
So deepfake is going to be a problem, but I think another use of deepfake is going to be the consent-based deepfake. So that what is happening with Twitter, like no politician handles their Twitter account. So in similar way, they will outsource their persona as well. In that sense, I think Arvind Kejriwal get out of the, like there was an order pronounced in the afternoon that Arvind Kejriwal is being granted a bail. And within an hour, let's say, AAP puts out a video of him giving a fiery speech. that would have changed the, I mean, that would have been given very positive momentum to the party instead of doing it the next day, right? So people will, like, leaders will give their persona, and in a similar way, lot of micro targeting will happen. So a person who is who is fighting election for MCD, so that candidate will have a video with Narendra Modi holding his hand, give the vote to him, his vote is mine vote. So that all those kind of things you will see.
Personalizing that personal touch by politicians to the voters. Very interesting. Maybe we are not too far away from that day. But for the moment, we'll say it here. Sumit, thank you so much for joining us here on NDTV.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thanks for watching the video. If you like this, do like, share, and subscribe to NDTV.